Hey again, guys. Man, I have some exciting rare cards to show you today. Rare cards of some of the greatest players in history, some of the most sought after players. Really excited to show you this stuff. I want to re-show you a couple things. Number one, on my last video, I had shown you a card that I was very excited to get, pretty rare and tough to find, of one of the first Cuban players, Rafael Almeida. And so I learned about him in this book, which if you don't have this book, it is absolutely fabulous. So they talk a little bit about the Cuban players, and that's where I saw that card and discovered it many years ago. And so I've been looking for this card ever since. It's a very tough one from the T207 set. They're from 1912. One of the first Cuban players. So kind of influential. You know, I love to collect the players that had some impact in baseball and in history in general, really. And then I wanted to show you very low pop. These are tough. These are tough. And these are real thin. And that's a 1934 Butterfingers. And this is a pop. PSA has only ever graded 14 of these. And there's your Babe Ruth. It's a beautiful example. The only reason for the grade that I can see is there's just a couple little nicks at the top. But these are so thin and fragile. I mean, they're really, really thin and fragile. I can't emphasize that enough. These cards, they're almost like photos. They were premiums from Butterfinger. The Babe Ruth is tough in this set. Now, I have a Dizzy Dean that I've had for many, many, many years. Several decades, probably. And I keep it in this frame. And I'm afraid to send it in for grading because I don't want anybody to touch it. They're so thin and fragile, I don't ever want to touch it. I guarantee this thing would have to grade at least a 7. The Dizzy Dean's a low pop, and all the ones I see are beaten and ones, and this thing is just in impeccable shape. It's in beautiful condition. There's no tears, no nothing. It's just in incredible condition. I would love to get it graded, but like I said, I'm afraid to send it. I mean, somebody could easily damage it. It's happened. And then I want to show you another rare card. And I know PSA has only ever graded 13 of these. And I don't know how many SGC has graded. That's not as easy to look up. But PSA's only ever graded 13 of these. And this is kind of an obscure set. And it's the W554. Now these cards, it's a very low checklist, very small checklist. And they use the same images as the 1929 cash-in cards, but they're a little bigger. And this is the Lou Gehrig. And the Lou Gehrig in this set is actually more valuable than the Babe Ruth. Not sure why that is. Some of these had writing at the bottom, and some did not. And this is a blank back. There are some that they've found with some advertising on the back for, there's one for a yo-yo, one for, I believe, ice cream. But these are very, very rare. Man, years ago, I got my hands on, I bought on a whim a Babe Ruth of this. And the seller didn't know what it was, and he put it on there, and I don't think anybody realized what he was selling. And so I bought it, and man, when I got it, it was just in beautiful condition, like perfect condition. And I turned around and sold it for more than twice what I paid. I looked it up and did a little research and just put a better description, and man, I got all kind of bids. But boy, do I regret that now, because at the time I had no idea how rare these were. And I wasn't really into the oversized cards at the time, and I didn't particularly care for that Babe Ruth image too much. And in addition to that, I used to sell some of my more expensive cards. I used to get nervous having them, to be honest, if they were worth a lot. I don't feel that way now. So that is a very rare Lou Gehrig. Of course, that's a very famous pose of his. Now I want to show you another obscure set you may not know exists, and that's a 1952 Frostade cards. And this is Gino Simoli. So this is these were the minor league up in Montreal. They were distributed. And man, if these were a few years earlier, you know, back in the 40s, they would have featured Jackie Robinson. But Gino Simoli played on my 1960 Pirates. And this is from the minor leagues, Montreal. And the two big cards in this set that I know of are Tommy Lasorda, who's probably the most expensive card in this set, and there's a Johnny Padres as well. Pretty cool. Pretty cool little set there if you don't mind the minor leagues. I actually like to buy minor league cards. Then we have a Jerry Sloan, and I showed a card last time, and people were commenting. I didn't realize. I guess he just recently passed away. I did not know that when I showed it. And I showed this 1949 Japanese card, and I have some others here, of Archie Vaughan, which is really cool. You know, they used to play the exhibits, the U.S. versus Japan, and that's the Giants of Japan, the famous team. That's how they were started. They were an all-star team to play against the American players, and of course the San Francisco Seals would play over there. So I guess he played with the San Francisco Seals at the end of his career. And this is a guy, what's his name? Dino Restelli. He must have been an American player who went over there, I'm assuming, who didn't make the pros. So this is his card from the same set. And he's with the San Francisco Seals, so he must have played on that team. And then I have two cards of Kaneda, who is one of the greatest pitchers all time, over there in Japan. And this one is really, really cool. This is from 1958. And this one, I showed you some of these before. These are 1964 Fujiya Caramel, and they're just beautiful cards. They're blank back. I had shown on another video they had a kind of a sheet with little slits that were like old photograph albums. You know how they used to put them in the slits, and they were made to display these cards. So this is my third one of these. Just gorgeous cards. So that's what I have for you today. Man, look at this beauty. Thanks for watching. You know what? I think this guy deserves to be on a pedestal. Oh yeah. He looks good on a pedestal, doesn't he?